Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pichael, doing another NFL team preview for fantasy. Just going to give my opinion on the players of interest for the Bears and give kind of like an outlook of how things might go for them. So first, let's take a look at their record from last year. Obviously, they were very disappointing. People were high on them going into last year because for some reason they liked Mitchell Trubisky. I was always pretty low on the Bears. I was definitely anti-Chicago last year, but I'll probably have to be pro-Chicago this year because I think that the public sentiment has gone too far in the opposite direction. I think that they are good enough in a lot of ways. So the NFC North this year plays the NFC South and the AFC South. NFC South. South. So they'll get games against the Saints, Falcons, Buccaneers, and Panthers. That's always a good thing for fantasy. And then the Texans, Titans, Colts, and Jaguars. Less good. I'll say that much. But they should be a competitive team as long as there aren't too many gigantic roster changes. I haven't looked at their roster yet, so let's take a look at that right now. They lost Chase Daniel. Nobody cares. They lost Prince Amukamara. Prince Amukamara was good enough, in my opinion. Nick Williams, Trey Burton, Aaron Lynch, Clinton Dix. I think Clinton Dix is a very good player. Kevin Pierre-Louis, I don't think that really matters. Mike Davis doesn't really matter. Leonard Floyd, I think he was playing pretty well at the end of last year, if I remember correctly. That should be about it. And like some of these names, maybe some of these other names are important defensive players, but I really don't pay as much attention to defense, like the individual players of a defense. It's more about like how good is the total defense. And we usually figure that out during the season, not before it. So Ted Ginn Jr. Ted Ginn drops balls all the time. I cannot tell you the number of times that Ted Ginn Jr. has dropped a touchdown when he's on my DraftKings roster. It is heartbreaking. It's really just a lot of bad memories for me. Jimmy Graham, most people think that he's washed up. I could see him having an okay year. I don't think he's going to be the best tight end in the NFL, but maybe he can put together an okay season. Maybe he's okay in best ball. Because like Jimmy Graham is always going to be a red zone threat. I could see Jimmy Graham getting 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns in a game. And maybe that's good enough in some best ball weeks. Nick Foles is going to compete with Mitchell Trubisky. I have no idea who's going to win. John Jenkins, Barkevius Mingo is a good player. Demetrius Harris shouldn't be that impactful. Brent Urban. Artie Burns is a good cornerback. I know that he played extremely well in his rookie year. I'm not sure how he's done since then. But that's basically it. So let's take a look at the offensive depth chart. So we have Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. I will not be picking either of those players in best ball. I just don't think it's worth it. There are other players who will most likely be better. Maybe you can kind of convince yourself that Mitchell Trubisky has a bounce back year. But it's tough to think that at this point. David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen are both interesting players. Not sure how much I really want to attach myself to the Bears. Allen Robinson is obviously a very good player. Anthony Miller's an okay wide receiver 2. He'll probably be like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 2, 3, or a flex in a lot of weeks. Ted Ginn Jr. I feel like could steal some touches there. Cordarrelle Patterson is a good gadget player. I thought he was a great fit on the Patriots. I'm surprised the Patriots let him go. He seemed like the perfect kind of Patriot. Or was he on the Patriots? That was last year or 2 years ago where he was basically playing running back sometimes. Jimmy Graham, like I said, I don't really know. Don't know how I feel about that. So the Bears, they're one of the less interesting teams. I think most people will feel that way for fantasy. I think that it is worth considering for season long. Maybe look at like the over and win total. That's probably a good number. Although, I guess there are a lot of Bears fans. So maybe that number is not as generous as I would think. So the Bears are plus 4,000. Oh, the over/under is 7.5. Wow. The over/under 7.5. How do I feel about that? I mean, I think most people would probably say under, right? They went 8-8 last year, and it was a bad year. Packers, Vikings, NFC North, NFC South, AFC South. It is a tough year. I mean, I guess it is kind of a tough schedule for like real life winning chances. Hmm. I don't have an actionable edge on that one, so I'm not sure if I would bet that. But watch out for that one. If it goes down, I would probably look at the over if it was like 6.5. If it was 6.5, I feel like I'd bet it. 5.5, I would definitely bet it. But that's all I got for the Bears. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for the next one. It is going to be in alphabetical order. Thanks for watching. You better watch again.